your Israeli friends. They would know better than I.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know. Yeah, there are a lot of people that think it's genital mutilation.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's a little bit argue, personally.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's up to you.
I wouldn't recommend it to anybody that's more than 8 years old. No. So let's see. What? You want to talk about anything else?
I know. Yeah, I just had a few questions.
Do you have any more? No. All right.
Think of something I'll let you know.
All right. Speaking of Judaism.
May I tell you a story? Please. For generations, men of my family have been rabbis. In Israel, before that, New York. It used to be my calling. I was going to prodigy, pride of my yeshiva. The eldest son had a 40-year-old's understanding of the Midrash by the time I was 12. But by the time I was 13, I knew I could never be a rabbi.
Why not?
Because all I had to sit on the top.
We'll get back to that. Sorry, Alma, didn't see you down there until I put the clip on. Hi, Alma.
No worries. They just returned.
Oh, cool. So I'm glad Alma wasn't waiting too long. Hi, Alma. I saw you raising your hand.
Yeah, no,
Can you speak closer to your microphone or something?
Is this better?
Yeah, it's better. What's going on?
We were talking earlier. I had to leave that phone. But I had to know a little bit. Very little. The dude who was talking earlier, his name is Mela. That's the other name. And the one with the on the phone. But it's fascinating, the questions he was asking about Judaism. Fascinating question. In the Arab world, just a little bit of information here. Maybe, I'll keep it short. But in the Arab world, anti-Semitism runs so
See you soon.
that it's very difficult for anybody
See you
to see
Friday.
somebody of the Jewish faith to be
See you
on
Friday,
religious.
Saturday.
Very difficult. Because they are people
Hello?
they are fundamentalists themselves from already. So it's hard to view somebody, particularly when you factor the whole thing with Palestine and Gaza and Israel and all of the shenanigans. You add all those into the mix, and you end up with a very inaccurate perception of the Jewish people and the Jewish faith among people in the Middle East in particular, and people of the Islamic faith, people in the Middle East in general, and people of the Islamic faith in particular. So it's an uphill battle, no matter how hard you try to explain. And I'll just leave it at that. Just information, still stuck in my head. About what
I've experienced anti-Semitism all my life.
just 20% AI. It's my real picture. 20% AI.
And I like to tell personal stories about my life because I believe it's important to relate issues of the past with how people are and I live our lives in the present. I understand why people on Clubhouse have a desire to remain anonymous. I understand why people on Clubhouse don't want to tell too much about their personal life, if any at all. They're afraid of being doxxed.
That's an all I
See, with
say.
me, even before I got onto Clubhouse 5 years ago, I had a very high internet profile for my small community, not Jewish, but in workers' compensation, employment, and labor law. And I literally did over 200 YouTube podcasts, WorkCom Matters. And then when I found out about Clubhouse, I stopped doing the YouTube podcasts. So I figured if I didn't use my real name, someone would recognize my voice and people would find out who I was, you know. And
somebody very important. I don't want to get doxxed.
Honest. Although a lot of people, for whatever reason, don't believe some things that I say. A lot of people in Clubhouse think I'm lying about some things that I say. I never lie.
Like some people say atheists don't actually exist.
Yeah, they're right.
I think atheists do exist. I just have a hard time
That is right.
Jewish atheists. I mean, I'm sure you could be, you know,
Right in front of a computer, right in front of a computer.
Such.
I'll give you a statistic. I mentioned it before. I'll say it again. There are twice as many Jewish atheists, percentage-wise, as there are Christian atheists or Muslim atheists. All religions have a small atheist community. It's normally about 8 to 10%. Jews have an atheist community of 15 to 20%.
Wow.
So were most Jews in Israel atheists as well?
I don't. And most religious people are not atheists. Those people that are religious are atheists. The number is about 8 to 10% that are. That means that 90% believe in God. In the Jewish religion, there's about 15 to 20% that are atheists, which means that 80 to 85% believe in God. And no, I would think probably 99% of Israeli atheists believe in God. I think the number's probably 95 to 99%. Maybe 100%, I don't know.
95% of Israeli atheists.
I said 90.
There's some lock up in this motherfucker.
head coverings, at all. And what happened was there was a special event started around. There was people with like full, face covers and stuff, dressed in all black like the ninjas, and it was a massive event. There must have been 300. And they had this. It was a fundraiser. And they had a billboard up for this massive Aji, or whatever they call it, the mosque, like the whole Islamic center. This thing, you should have seen the plans for this thing. It was all on
company because they were still paying his checks and John Smith, Jack Bruce, wherever the case may be. And he wanted his insurance company to make the checks out to motherfucker. And the insurance company refused. So I was in court on another case. And this case...
It's not a fucking lawyer!
So that is my most controversy. In case someone wanted the insurance company to make his bi-weekly checks out to motherfucker.
You certainly can't script
That's
that.
a true story. That's a true story.
You certainly can't script it. That's what I'll say.
Sounds like a scene out of Stripes.
Does it?
My name's Francis, but call me Psycho. Anybody calls me Francis, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Pipe down, Francis.
And
Shut up, Francis!
and we were soldiers. Who was the old guy? Who was the lifeguard? And he was also in. Okay, he was the sergeant major in We Were Soldiers. And Mel Gibson.
I'm just curious. Who reached out to either one they run to meet everyone? Well, isn't he well, she as well? I've heard he's that particular group's sect of Shia Islam is actually what he practices, so the Khomeini would have a special place for him. If that's true.
They would cut and run. There are ways of asking questions that allow you to sort of like observe. You don't want to say, so why did you have this baby, right? You want to say, tell me the whole story. And put me on your shoulder like I'm a video camera. Take me with you
Hello?
on the screen so I can
Hello?
observe with you.
Why is Ban always saying that least Mises 420 lounges for the low IQ people?
He still ran on that platform saying that, and people are actually believe, and same with like free buses and this, that, and the other.
It's marketing.
It's the same thing that the IRGC ran on. Like, we're gonna do free buses. Yeah, that didn't happen. And women had to wear these black bags that just are so fucking ugly and hot. Like, that is my biggest complaint about Islam, is like any religion that like if you go to a mosque or something, you have to have your head covered, dress modesty. And I'm like, okay, I don't dress unmodestly necessarily, but also I'm not going to wear a goddamn burqa.
Oh, I would have thought you would have thought the worst thing would have been maybe the sex slavery over the head
Oh
cover.
yeah, well no. Okay, well yeah, I'm talking about just like as a visitor, but no, as like part of a religion, yeah, the sex slavery, the underage marriages, the tribalism, the inability to get along with other people who think differently, even like the same religion. Oh yeah, there's a ton of things that. But no, what I just wanted to say with this is that like he can't do this, and you know he was saying this. He knows he can't do this, but he was saying he could even while running, and people didn't even bother to like even Google search if like a mayor can do that, which is an absolute no. No mayor can.
But that's all politics and political grounds.
No. I know, but he's not American born. He's foreign born. He may be naturalized, but technically, if he goes too far, he may
cross the line enough to be deported.
I think that would be fucking hilarious.
Oh, it looks like we
Mayor,
have
Mayor,
we
New
have
York to be
Donnie's
deported.
speechwriters in the room. Buttercup, word for word.
Oh my god, now you docs.
Verbatim, it sounded exactly like Buttercup up there. On the
Docs.
lines.
Ralphie, stop him. Everyone's gonna know my job.
Oh my god, this thing with David is rubbing off on everyone.
It's fine.
I was in the other room and he was in there and everyone is like, dogs. And I'm just like, oh my god. There's gonna be like some quotes, like popular clubhouse quotes. Dogs. Oh my god, people.
Hi Grace, how's it going? Good, how are you, Buttercup? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Rafi, how long has Rafi been in here? Rafi, have you slept today?
I don't know, Rafi, did you get some sleep last night?
I don't think so. I was up with the puppy.
Oh yeah. I was really because I was up and I fell asleep. Like I want to be able to listen to the spaces, like a nice space that people are not yelling at me when I was asleep. He was asleep like a background noise kind of thing. I don't remember if Rafi was my niece might have still been up.
Rafi has been up for hours. I can assure you I was with him.
So funny,
I don't think I
Grace.
saw your Zoom though when I first woke up. I don't think he usually does this in the morning. Oh wait, no, I think I actually. Oh no, you know what? You may be right. I think I did see him walk into a different room.
Oh, Rafi, go to sleep, Rafi.
wanted them to do, right?
Well, I mean, I think it's very difficult to do a bad job and make a lot of money, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So the choice is either they kiss your ass and worship you
Yeah.
versus just doing a good job like you laid out.
The answer is do a good job.
Well, the answer is whatever makes the most amount of money, legally and legitimately.
Yeah,
I mean,
which
yeah,
is
if kissing my ass means that if kissing my ass means they're gonna make the company twice as much money, then I want them to kiss my ass.
Well, it depends on what kind of business you're running. If it's like
James.
if it's a sex, friends only kind of fans only thing, then yeah, the more ass kissing going on screen, the more people, yeah.
You know, I was in a room last night, yesterday. It was Pro's room, and the topic came up of inequality of women and men in employment and
Oh my God.
how women are discriminated against and stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. I pointed out the fact, and this is very minor, but it's true, that when it comes to outside marketing reps for the medical community,
Hot women, baby.
hot women to the tune of like 2/3 to 1/3. Women outnumber the men 2 to 1 when it comes to outside marketing reps for medical companies. No question about it.
Hot pharmaceutical reps.
That's
They
right.
fucking sell the pills.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Not just that, I made mine commercially for 24 years, and at the Whole Foods market, the men were the wine buyers for the Whole Foods, but the women were the ones that were, hot women, were the ones that were selling wine to the wine buyers. So I agree with what you're saying, it's very true. And they were all really hot looking women, who were the ones that were selling the wine to the male wine buyers. And then the male wine buyers were selling the wine in Whole Foods to women that were shopping there.
Let me give you another stat that a lot of people are not aware of. Now, we know, it's been documented, that over a period of time, like when you go into 10 years, 15 years, 20 years of career, men doing the exact same job as women, men make more money. There's no question about it. It's documented, it's factual.
Yeah.
There are a whole slew of reasons, but, you know, when you go 5, 10 years in, and then you go 15, 20, 25, 30, Men make more money than women for doing the same job. I'm not saying it's fair, I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just a fact. However, what most people don't know is when it comes to your first job out of college, or out of high school, I'm not saying out of college, when it comes to your first job out of college, women make more money than men. And I want to say like about 58 to 42. No, that's wrong. 50, what would it be? 58 to 42. 58 to 42. Women make
Hello?
more money out of school. A lot of people don't know or forget that. Now, as to why, what, when, good, bad, right, or wrong, we're going to have to dig into it. But believe me, it's true.
I don't, that doesn't surprise me at all, because it seems to me that employers would be much more tolerant of young, straight out of school women making mistakes than the men. When I got out of school, I got a degree as an electrical engineer and I worked around the radar systems. I was told to know in certain terms, don't you fucking touch anything in the lab, don't go pushing buttons or doing anything. So, yeah, I think you're correct. So, here's my other question.
Sure.
If you were farming, would you, are the two most important moments, planting the seeds in proper ground and harvesting at the right time? Or are there other important moments that are as important as those two moments? Because I'm saying you wouldn't really fuck with the plant every day or all the time. You would plant it in good ground and water it regularly. And then the only other important moment would be the timing of harvest, right?
Well, what about if it gets watered properly?
Well, I think that's why, the seasonal rains or, planting in springtime at the right time is important.
Yeah, no, that's true.
The two most important moments would be planting it, when you would be involved, I guess I'm saying, you would be mainly involved in planting and harvesting and not so much the rest of the time.
I've never been asked that question before. So,
Yeah, but you're a sensible guy, Steve, and I know James is too, so.
Well, you might be involved more often than just that. You might want to check on it to make sure there's no infestation of, aphids or any other kind of mites that might, cause the crop to go bad, right?
Right.
good point.
Yeah. I mean,
Good weed, a good weed grower is gonna check on their plants daily, right?
yeah, well, I made wine in Humboldt County for many years, but yeah, you're right, James. I mean, we would have to sulfur if it rained, anytime between April and July, we would have to sulfur. So,
Yes, timing harvest is very important.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. The most important moments are when you plant, because if you plant too early, especially cannabis, you could get hammered by a late spring frost, right?
Yep. Yes,
So
sir.
I'm just saying those are the two most important times for you as a farmer to be involved, in the beginning and the end.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
The middle is really important too, so I guess I would say those aren't the only two important times.
In what way? Why is the middle important?
Because if you just wait till the end to come back till the end, you're gonna be like all the people who want Little Red Hen to give them the loaf of bread. You gotta take care of the weeds, the bugs, make sure there's no deficiencies. So like, can you control a lot of that when you plant it? Sure. But there's a lot of things that come up that you can't control. That you
Yeah, that's why I brought
mitigate.
that up. You gotta check on it.
You're at JCC.
Well,
I have a question, and what's the difference between a locust and a grasshopper?
The locust is bigger and they're slightly different the way their phenotype or whatever you want to call it is.
Thank you.
Vast disresembling, And
that kind of fits into the network. I kind of like have this story that for me, maybe not for you yet, for me makes the idea of God plausibly raising or vindicating someone who comes with basically the same exact message, not a crazy thing. And I kind of told that story about how raising Jesus, preserving Jesus when he's dead, bringing him back, fits into the very message that he was preaching, because he was telling people the same thing. If you follow God, if you be a God resembler, God's going to preserve you too. And that's the whole point. Is the more of us that God preserves, the more the world's going to be resembling his image. And that's what basically heaven is it's a bunch of God resembling people doing things. Is my story. So that's why I don't think it's plausible that God would raise Jesus.
Yeah, of course, getting into that, I mean, it's,
Girl, you don't look like that, Cindy. Stop lying. You don't have a figure like that anymore. Maybe 20 years ago.
possibly make
You're lying.
some particularly idiot normative view about
I figure like what?
resemblance.
You ain't got it anymore. Don't lie. It's catfish. Catfish photo. Catfish.
Knows is my man. He's gonna.
Man like Jacob?
Maybe you could make the
I don't want you to like my body. I want only one man to like my body.
do something like that.
Well, good luck finding him.
He's gonna gobble me right up.
He's gonna have some low standards.
That we could focus on, like,
Well, I would just talk about
Jacob could be your guy.
He's
So
gonna gobble
I'll just
me
use
up.
the word good. I like resemblance because I have reductive philosophy.
Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. You're never gonna get it.
Good ends up being
Gobble, gobble.
but good is
Never
not
gonna get it.
Gobble,
some extra
gobble.
thing. It's really just resemblance to God is all it is. So I don't have like this third piece in my own.
Listening to
And he's gonna be a man of God.
to how good you are.
listening to a bunch of
He's
retards.
gonna have eyes only
Function
for
of how
me.
it resembles God in
Yeah,
some sort of
right.
way.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Take the eyes out of his fucking head?
Again, not something that I can imagine myself accepting or whatever.
The idea would be, yes, you said maybe I could preserve without it. Well, then in that case, I would just ask you, if you believe in God, then to believe in objective good, that's roughly like what we think it is.
Clubhouse is full of
And
retards.
that
Lonely,
Jesus was
bored,
good, and that God
non-creative,
is going to
low IQ
maximize
retard
not
types.
maximize his resemblance,
Wasting
but
all the
maximize
time.
good. Hopefully you think that's
Just read a fucking book.
an all good being exists.
Read a book. Go to the gym. This app is fucking retarded.
Much less,
We do go to the gym. We do read books.
No, really.
this is not really the context we're going to get into my kind of
We do.
views
Do
or even
you?
medical views.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because you don't do it.
Is some of them would be a little bit different.
I do it.
Oh, really? What was the last
Probably
book you read,
substantial.
genius?
Not close enough to make a lot of this really make sense, but
Hello?
that's a whole other conversation.
If God exists and God is all good,
Yay,
then wouldn't God
Cheever's
be interested
here.
in expanding that good? Isn't that part of being good?
So
No.
Oh, Cheever.
I'm actually not even sure.
Hey,
It's
Cheever.
not good. To me, that's probably something that's going to be like ill-defined, or even roughly. So,
Well, most people's understanding of good, maybe your pre-philosophical view, where maybe it's not as like refined. You probably have some underlying theory that I don't know. Go ahead and tell me, what is your theory of the good? Do you?
oh, yeah. Well, I'm a sort of pluralist about this. So, like, it's tough to explain kind of briefly. When I think of these normative terms, the related categories and concepts and so on, it's a kind of a big mixed bag. It's a bit of a mess, and we're sometimes getting at different things, or attempting to get at different things when we employ it, or attempting to get at sort of a combination of things. And if you ask me, like, oh, am I a realist or a subjectivist or some sort of other sort of anti-realist, it's like, well, not neatly in any of them. Right?
Okay,
Sometimes
I have an idea. I have an idea for you that'll help. Earlier you said you would grant, for the sake of argument, that God exists for this argument. So let's go ahead and grant it. Frankly,
it's not just the Christian conception. Let's grant what's in common with people in God, what they believe about good, and they're all objectivists about it, realists, and so let's take that stuff that they all pretty much all agree on, and that
This retarded room will go all night.
Well, so it depends.
We hit the mother load. Fully automated R-wording.
Even conceiving that, I think in a more generic sense, I'm fine with that. There's a sense in which God is very good.
Well, you probably would say you can't conceive of God either, right? I mean, I'm sure you got your arguments against the conceivability of God in general already.
No, if depends on what's built in, right? If God is just some, very powerful, knowledgeable, very good agent, maybe he's not created the universe, maybe that's even more than
You said very good.
Who is this?
Okay, so I would have figured someone like you would have had these arguments against the appearance of God, but maybe not.
No, of course not.
Interesting. Okay, well, I would say, this is, if you're granting the God hypothesis, I think part of the hypothesis is moral realism, and a very very serious moral realism.
Yeah, it depends on what you mean. Well, so part of my analysis already will grant some realism in a limited sense. I think you get kind of minimal realism out of it. In this case, you might get a little bit more, because I think to some degree some people actually are getting at facts or God's commands when they engage in moral or generally normal thought and talk. And so that's the sense in which I said my view about numbership would likely change. Right now, regarding those sorts of things, I'm more like an error theorist than I become a sort of
genetic lineage from the father.
Females,
Things like or whatever it is.
Females do not carry on the father's encoding.
Yeah.
So if my great-grandmother was Jewish, but say my mother, she wasn't raised that way, or like my mom was adopted out or something like that, I would not be Jewish, right? My mom was adopted by non-Jews, but her mom was Jewish, let's say.
No, you would still be Jewish.
Okay, what if it was my grandfather?
Then you wouldn't.
Wait, I see where I went wrong. So the son gets the mitochondrial, but he cannot pass it on because he is a male. So it has to be passed through the daughters only, even though he gets it. Yeah. Holy shit! This is why when I took a genetics class, I couldn't stand it. I mean, this gets really.
Yeah, I opted out. I did biology, but not genetics.
It's tricky, but it's kind of cool that, like, for me, I did like really deep DNA tests, the fancy kind, and I could look back on both my mother and my father's side really deep.
I told Addy to go talk to you because his claim of him being 92% Levantine. Yeah.
Isn't he Iraqi?
Yeah, Iraqi, Yemeni, Moroccan, and Irani. So I told him that go talk to a real person that actually has 95%, so you could compare and know where you went wrong.
I mean, it's not impossible that he has that much genetic, like, non-covenant genetics.
That would be highly unlikely.
It's not impossible, but what it is yeah. A lot of Iraqis, no, because you have to consider a lot of Iraqis have the same thing.
Yeah, but he's saying Levantine.
Levantine.
92%.
Yeah, a lot of Iraqis have Levantine.
But his grandparents on both sides were from Morocco, Yemen, Iran, and Iraq. So
yeah. I mean, it's possible that these are just Jews who moved there from the Levant or from the area. That's not like
no, they were born there.
I asked them this.
No, I know they were born there, but like their parents had migrated there.
At some point, he said.
Or their grandparents.
No, all of them? No, I know. For 92%, Benny Adam, that's a high, even for in Palestinian society.
Look at Shape.
You wouldn't necessarily find more than 50%.
Look at Shape's PTR.
Yeah, well, it depends. It depends on the religion.
95% Northern Lebanon.
Shape is the highest I know. Like literally, I have not met anyone.
I'm the real McCoy.
And you could, and he could trace his. Yeah, you know, he could trace his really easily.
All the way back to Syria, yeah, you're right.
That's okay. You and Tracy, you guys, you know.
That was a good one, Benny.
Thank you. But yeah, I don't know. 95 is a little bit high.
92.
It also, 92. It also depends on how you set the
But he went through 23andMe, and then took that data and put it into some other. I'm like, dude, that's where you went wrong to begin with.
Well, I mean, it depends on how you adjust the sensitivity to certain like genetic variants and whatever. So like I remember Pharaoh, the guy that was on the top. Anyway, he went into a lot of details about this. Basically, you can, if you adjust the sensitivity, you can make a really weird kind of conclusions out of your DNA.
Oh, I remember that guy. Yeah,
He was like up the album.
Yeah, he knew this shit back like inside and out.
I actually know him in my real life.
And yet, why, if my grandfather was Jewish, wouldn't my siblings and I be Jewish? Just so clear.
Well, I mean, like halachically, in Jewish law, it's through the mother. So, it's like that's just the case.
In Jewish law?
In terms of, yeah, in Jewish law. In terms of Israeli law, you would qualify.
There's one line in the Talmud that was debated that you have to read like 3 times to really have it sink in, that suggests that it should be done that way through the mother. It's literally one sentence.
What's it say?
Here, let me pull it up. What is line in Talmud? That says your mom has to be Jewish. Yeah, so here it is.
Your mother is so fast.
You should have said it says mommy.
I knew you would like that.
What the hell? Is it the Talmud or the Torah?
Torah.
No, it's from the Talmud.
Can you ask him?
Oh, no, if it's from the Torah, it's the story of their return from exile.
Yeah.
No, from Babylon. And when they came back from Babylon, there's something about marrying one woman or something like that. I remember a Jew trying to use that justification. It's not solid properly.
My thing is hallucinating, so I have to do a chat session.
So Judaism is not an ethnic group.
Okay. It's in Kiddushin 6b. You shall not intermarry them, for he will turn your son away from me. The Talmud interprets this as your son from an Israelite Jewish woman is called your son, but your son from a non-Jewish woman is not called your son, but rather her son. You see how subtle that is?
Wow.
You put that in Chat GPT?
Yeah, I remember diving into this like 2 years ago with some rabbis on the app.
Okay,
You know what this reminds me of, actually? It reminds me of those Saudi guys that would go to the West, at like for university or whatever, knock out some white chick, and then like ditch, like they can bail, and they go back to South Arabia. And sometimes those guys, and you can find like inside story of them, they try to reach out to their fathers.
You're cutting out, Benny.
Oh, sorry. And they try to reach out to their fathers in Saudi Arabia, like 20 years later or something. And the people in Saudi, they're like, they don't want to acknowledge them, their children. You know, so they're just like, just
No, I actually don't. Can you just read it one more time? I'm sorry, Shay. Just read it one more time.
I'll read it one more time. There was a missing sentence. This is Deuteronomy. This is another one. Deuteronomy. You shall not intermarry with them. Do not give your daughter to his son, or take his daughter for your son, for he will turn your son away from me. Now the rabbis ask, who is your son referring to? They reason as follows. Case 1. Your daughter marries a non-Jewish man. Jewish father, Jewish daughter, non-Jewish husband, child. The verse says the non-Jewish husband will turn your son away. The rabbis conclude the child of your Jewish daughter is still called your son, meaning a member of Israel. So fucking complicated.
So the way that God says your son, that's how they're interpreting.
Yes.
That you're Jewish?
Yes.
I mean, it's a very Jewy way.
Current case 2. Your son marries a non-Jewish woman. So you have a Jewish father, Jewish son, non-Jewish wife, child. The verse does not call that child your son. The Talmud states, your son from an Israelite woman is called your son, but your son from a non-Jewish woman is not called your son, but her son.
Okay.
Now, also, this is, by the way, debated. This interpretation is not explicit in the plain wording of the Torah. Many scholars note that the literal reading of Deuteronomy 7:34 could be simply warning against intermarriage because it leads Israelites into idolatry. The rabbis, however, understood the wording "your son" to have legal significance and used it to derive the principle of matrilineal descent. This interpretation became the basis of traditional Jewish law and has been accepted by Orthodox and conservative Judaism for many centuries. So the key point is that the rule comes from the rabbi's interpretation of the verse, not from a verse that explicitly says Jewish identity follows the mother. That distinction is an understanding how the doctrine is developed. So what have we concluded here? Even the actual religious text is murky in terms of how you maintain your Jewish status. It can be debated. It changed over time, and it conflicts with the state's definition of how you get citizenship. There are a few things in the world that I find more complicated than this ethno-religion, how you inherit it, and the caveats and gotchas that you can get along the way. It is one of the most complicated concepts I've ever seen.
I mean, it's intentional practice. If you want
It doesn't make sense.
ethno-religion, look, a true ethno-religion is the Druze, for example. That is an ethno-religion. You cannot convert into it. You have to be born into it. If you're born into it and you abandon it, you're no longer part of it.
Are the people the same? Ethnically?
Yes. They are only from Palestine, Lebanon, and Syria, which used to be one of them. They have the same culture, same within the same area. They're all in the mountains around the tribe point where those three countries meet. So, yes, they are one ethnicity, they are one group. They started, literally like a prayer pact, and you cannot join it.
Your thing is cutting out, Beniato. So it seems like there are two vehicles
So
with
you can't
which...
join this other.
Yeah.
So you can't join the religion, you can't convert into it, and if you're born into it, you abandon it, your kids are no longer part of it.
Okay, so you are out of the country of the forward.
Yes, that's an actual ethno-religion.
Yeah, it seems like there are two vehicles, which this is pretty insidious, but there are two vehicles with which you can use in order to claim or substantiate Jewish identity. So one is the legal, the other is the one is the one is legal, and then the other is based on Judaism, so religion. But there's no third.
There's a third. Yes, there is. There's one vehicle that grants you citizenship. There's one vehicle that's based on your maternal line that's invoked through the rabbinical law. And there is another vehicle that gives you where you become a part of the tribe that's invoked through rabbinic law that's not from your maternal line. In other words, the black rabbi scenario. You could
Yeah,
also
but that's still through halacha.
that's through the rabbinic thinking. Now, for that one, the state also accepts you.
The state does, and rabbinic law does?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
converts.
Yeah. What the hell? This is insane.
So I'll give you a scenario. Someone like, I don't know, let me take something kind of extreme. Someone from New Zealand that converts to Judaism could get citizenship in Israel, while a Palestinian that lost their home in 1940, that's lived there for their whole life, could not. In other words, Israel is one of the few places in the world that gives greater rights to non-citizens than its own citizens. Now you may say, well, what do you mean its own citizens? Well, let's suppose you're an Arab Israeli, right? And your family is no longer in Israel, and you want to bring them back to you to live with you. You don't have a path to citizenship. But that person in New Zealand, or that black rabbi from California that converted to Judaism, or someone in Taiwan, they could actually get more rights than you in terms of bringing your family and having them become kind of naturalized citizens. It's a very, very unique thing.
Backwards? What the you can convert? You guys understand how retarded that is?
Now, the interesting thing is, when you get into this, you need these special interpretations to make it all hang together. So what they will tell you is that Black Rabbi, it gets more interesting. Black Rabbi,
So Jewish.
yeah, he's actually also ethnically Jewish by virtue of when he converts, something special happens to his soul. And it was at the mountain with Moses.
Is this just happened for him, or this is part of the conversion?
No, this is every convert. Every convert, what they consider is if you converted to Judaism, that means you were always a Jew on the inside. You just found yourself. It's actually, so they do have some rabbis, and this is a more of a modern thing. It wasn't in classical Judaism, not even rabbinic, but they believe in reincarnation. So they believe that for specific sins, you will reincarnate in specific ways.
So this is a new construct. This is not something that has been, it's not common.
This is not traditional. This is definitely in the last, I think, 500 years.
So what's traditional then?
Well, traditionally they didn't have this concept, but now they do. Is that they have this reincarnation of depending on what sin you did, you'll reincarnate as a certain thing. And if the sin was light enough, you might reincarnate as just a regular man. In which case, your job is to rediscover your Judaism. That's what you're called.
Now I should.
Yeah, that's how you come back, basically.
I should put a public service announcement or disclaimer. You find complicated concepts in other areas in all religions. This just happens to be a super complicated concept when it comes to belonging to a religion.
Wait.
But it's
what about Christianity? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, Christianity, when you take the Holy Communion, you're actually eating the flesh of Christ. Also, 3 persons, 1 being makes no sense.
Oh yeah, the wafer.
Okay, no, but I'm talking about belonging to the group in terms of.
You got Calvinism. Calvinism, like some Christians believe in salvation by.
That's not Christianity, though.
No, Calvinism is Christianity.
Yeah.
It's a
Calvinism.
I think it's deeply heretical. I think it's deeply heretical.
All I'm trying to say is so that we're not accused of being anti-Semitic.
Oh no! But by the way, do you know what country has a similar ethno-religious basis for their immigration policy? Armenia.
Armenia?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Armenia is the only other country in the world that if you convert specifically to Armenian Orthodoxy, Apostolic Orthodoxy, you can immigrate and get citizenship in Armenia.
Really?
On that basis, yeah. They're nothing. And by the way, the Armenians they're very similar to Jewish people.
Like as in racist?
Well, yeah, everybody there is racist. No, I'm saying that like the way that they behaved in the Ottoman Empire in the last 400 years in the Middle East, they were very similar to like both merchant communities. They're both like minority communities that like served similar purposes and often competed with each other in the Ottoman Empire. And that's what there was always a rivalry between the Armenians. But in terms of their ethno-religious like thing, they're actually quite similar.
Okay, but just to be clear, so you guys are saying that in terms of the identity, the complexities in religious identity in Judaism, you're saying the same exists in Christianity.
I'm saying the Armenians specifically get very ethnocentric about their religiosity.
But I'm talking about Christianity.
No. Christianity in essence doesn't have any of this stuff, right? But there have been Christian offshoots or Christian sects.
That's different.
That have. No, but this is what we're doing now. So like what we're looking at right now is just the dominant sect in Judaism. Not all Jews were like this 2,000 years ago, and until now there's still a variety of Jewish communities which reject the common altogether. So not all Jews have always been like this. You're looking at the victorious community. Right? But if you look at how Sadducees and Essenes and whatever practiced, they're very different. They didn't even accept the prophets and the writings. They only looked at the first 5 books of the book.
Hey, the point I'm trying to make is, in general, there are nooks and nuances of religions that are very complicated and contradictory. So that the idea of being complicated or hard to understand is not unique to Judaism. It's just in other topics, like the Trinity doesn't make any sense. Right?
Alright, let's leave.
I think the Trinity makes sense.
It makes sense to me as well, not too much of Christianity, just focus.
Just trying to be fair so I'm not accused of being anti-Semitic.
No, we all know you're Christophobic.
Who is?
Shapeshifted.
I'm sorry, did you say
He's Orthodox.
Yeah, he claims to be.
Wow.
Did someone say my name?
No.
No.
Say my name.
Hold on, Shape. How are you, you calling yourself Orthodox while not believing the Orthodox faith? Isn't that kind of like a Jew calling himself a Jew while not believing in Judaism?
Look,
So that's a yes. Okay. As long as we've established it.
I'm gonna say one thing. There's not a better dude, in my opinion, that walked this earth than my main man, JC. He's a good dude, way ahead of his time. Way ahead of his time.
Period.
And I think he's a special guy.
So I think we get it. Like in the way that Shapeshifter identifies as a Orthodox Christian, Jews identify as Jews.
It's not the same thing, Benny Adam.
Have you considered looking into using the term anti-Jew instead of anti-Semitic? Because you people are Semitic, you, Benny,
Yeah, we talked about this. Yes.
Yeah, I know. Have you considered?
Look, my response hasn't changed from about 5 hours ago.
What was your response?
I'm so comfortable in my Semiticness that I don't need other people or different labels to change.
No, not other people. The word Semitic. It literally means Arabs and the people that speak the Semitic language. So it's not just it doesn't just apply to the Jews. It's been hijacked and stolen by the Jews. That's why
I don't mind.
Let them steal it. Yeah, I don't mind.
You guys don't think it's important to kind of
The land was stolen. The land was stolen. You want them to steal the term as well.
yeah.
No, here's the thing. Whenever I want to just check how Semitic I am, I just go log into Clubhouse or ATR. I look, I'm like 95%, then I go back to bed. And then I'm good.
I know, but verbiage
I thought you were going to say something else.
I don't know, I think in terms of identity, I think it's important to insulate or preserve something, because that's how identities are either taken or co-opted or bastardized, or it's like, otherwise you're at the mercy of anybody who wants to do anything with it.
I think it's a
Semitic
compliment.
altogether is like it's a Western term.
It's a compliment. I'm like, oh, other people want to be Semitic too. That's cool.
But are they Semitic?
I don't mind. I don't mind if it.
Also, it's okay. It's okay for a black rabbi to use the word Semitic. That's what
Look, if you want.
That's great.
I think I'm very comfortable in my Semiticness. And if someone else wants to be called Semitic too, when they're maybe not, that's fine. It's like cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Alright, I'm a Semite. Shout out to Semitism.
You're good. Like,
Yeah, welcome home.
I'll even say, like when I see the black Hebrew Israelites.
No,
I'm like,
don't shape. No,
yeah, I'm just like, oh, cool guys.
no, it's a sickness.
Oh, BHI is the bomb.
No, it's like you have to understand. It's like it's never been cool to be from the Levant in Western culture. Now we're starting to be cool.
Okay, that's not true. Growing up,
wants to be Semitic.
I grew up, no, it's not true.
Lebanese. Oh, I'm Lebanese. I'm so cool.
Yeah, but we
Okay.
I'm party with my friends.
I grew up with the Iraqis, and they were very popular. Their culture was very popular. So I don't know about that, you guys. That's not true. Iraqis that I grew up with, they were well.
The Lebanese are like the hip hop culture of the Middle East. We're the coolest in the Middle East. Everyone wants to be Lebanese.
I don't know, bro. Egyptians are pretty cool, bro.
What's that?
Egyptians are pretty cool, bro. I don't know.
Egyptians.
Well, I mean, yeah. Anyway, so let's get back to the conversation. We cracked the code on the Jews. How they have this whole melding of like the ethnicity and the religion.
Yeah, but see, if you say that, Shane was gonna say the same thing. You can say the same thing about Christianity. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That Sheikh is the perfect example, right? He's a self-proclaimed Orthodox Christian that does not believe in Orthodox Christianity.
Oh my God. No, he does.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't believe Jesus. He questions a lot of the things in the Bible.
How are you telling him what he believes, though?
No, he says that. That's what he believes. Like, that's
Yeah,
what he said.
okay, let me explain, right? So, I'm OG, Benny Adam converted. So, sometimes when people convert, they try too hard.
Do you believe Jesus was God? Do you believe in the Trinity?
Overcompensating?
Chip, do you believe in the Trinity?
No.
Do you believe Jesus is God?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Fuck.
So that's what I'm saying. Hey, like I'm not exaggerating.
Okay, so yes, all of this applies to every religion then, great.
Chip, you believe that Jesus was a prophet of God, right?
Yes.
And he was Masum, yeah?
What's the word?
Masum. He was infallible.
Was like, he committed no sins, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you're Muslim, bro. Hold on.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, hold on, Chief. Is he unique?
Easy.
Hold on, Chief. I prefer the term cringe mom because it is truly cringe.
That's terrible. Like Islam. Islamic is better.
We don't disrespect your religion. Don't. No, I'm not.
It doesn't matter. Hans. And he's saying, I am only perfect because I don't do my egocentrical will. I do the will of the Father who sent me. And you too can become perfect by doing the same thing. So that's just one.
Pursue this path. And like I said, I'm convinced that these human beings are simply wired in such a way that is different than the vast majority.
Bigotry and just assholeness, they will kind of, it'll rub off on them. And the people who are amongst people who are tolerant and like genuinely nice tend to be that way to me too. And I think for a short while I was like, okay, people who are like far extreme away from my thinking, I was like, okay, let's try to understand. But the thing is that they don't really, they have no interest in changing. And so they try to like explain their point to me and then try to get me to join them. And I'm just like, yeah, that's a problem. Like I was a little bit interested in this like very different opinion that, I was like, all right, where's this hatred, this really far opinion coming from? All right, let's kind of get this. But after a little while, it's like the opinion doesn't change. And so I'm like, okay, well, I've learned like what the opinion is, and now it's just same stuff, and it just is.
I agree with you. No, it is that way on the right, but then like when it comes to the left, there's this weird thing where what's really weird is generally right-leaning people are more conformist than the left, but I see this when it comes to the left. I can see like this like almost like ultra conformity that you end up seeing happen where they're, I don't know if it's because of fear, they're going to go in lockstep. They're going to agree with whatever the far left, however far left they move. And these people are, in my opinion, like highly, they're very dangerous in a way because they look at violence as like fighting against a hierarchical structure in which oppresses people, and then so by whatever means, and no matter how violent it is, we stop them from doing that. And I just like I would talk to people on the far left, and a lot of them are young, and I've seen some of them kind of like come around, but they have a much different value system than the far right. But I see them as being potentially a lot more dangerous just because they have a more palatable message in comparison to other, at least the far right.
Well, yes and no. I mean, yes and no. I was in a room and someone I guess was like, hey, we know you from somewhere, and then they're like, wait, and then I came around to politics or something, and I was like, okay, well, first of all, I'm not like super into it, but I'm independent, so this is kind of just like, I'm not really taking a side here, it's also just, this is not something I want to be. And what I've noticed is like, I've actually become a little bit more, like less traditional lefty since I've been on this app. Just because, Biden was kind of far. I was a far left. I was not interested in the whole. And yeah, on this app, and the person's like, what's the right? Like, technically, I'm independent, but why do you think that? And they're like, well, because yeah, you're in like a bunch of the Trump rooms with like a bunch of conservatives, and I'm like, oh, okay. Actually, I guess I am. I mean, not that I necessarily agree with them, but I think it's like there's things that I really don't agree with, but also it's first, but yeah, I was definitely posting things like very social awareness, very that stuff is solid and good, but also, the best thing I can do is kind of pay attention to my own life and, try to do the best I can and not do negative things. And so I kind of just, I don't know, mellow it out, but I think my politics have changed a bit being on these apps. Like I think for a while I was like the same. I've met a lot of really cool people and they just happen to be a little bit more close to the right, a little bit more right. And I'm like, wait, but they're really cool. So it's like, I still don't necessarily agree with them politically for a lot of things, but like as people, I really like them. So I'm like, well, it's funny. If someone was like, yeah, you're always in those like Republican rooms and Trump rooms, and I'm like, well, I like the people. Like, it's kind of like, oh, but I'm like, well, it's kind of funny, but yeah, like you don't really always know. I've seen some people have a disclaimer like my appearance in this room does not support, or like does not necessarily mean that I support this or something. And I'm like, well, I never put that in my bio because I was always just kind of like, well, it was usually a listening. But yeah, I have definitely met a lot of really cool people, and they're kind of both. I mean, some of them were kind of far left. There's a couple that are kind of far left. There's a couple that are like there's a lot in the middle, and there's a couple that are more far right. But I genuinely like them. So I've definitely got a lot more people on the right that I like.
This is what happens when you get older, like.
No, it's what happens. This is what happens when I'm around people that are like they are around a diverse group of people, and I'm not just like isolated and just, like keeping to myself. Because like my brain has kind of always been like more liberal, more like independent. But then like actually hearing like Brent makes a lot of very good arguments for things that I
Don't blow his ego more than it is.
Well, she's on it. She's more like explained in a way where kind of like it's less repulsive and less kind of like like what? Still don't agree with it, but there's there isn't that like what the fuck response. There's kind of like okay, I think
you're kind of like me, like the weirdest trip is that like the person I've been friends with since I started doing this shit, like I don't know, 7 years ago, at least the social media stuff, or voice audio, whatever you call it, like on
social voice audio.
Yeah, on Discord and here, it was a progressive. He's the person I remain closest to. He's a white guy from Atlanta. He's a veteran, nice guy. But he would we would go back and forth in debates all the time. He's somebody that we didn't necessarily agree with each other, but for whatever reason, I felt like we both felt like he felt like my heart was in the right place. I felt like his heart's in the right place. I don't think I don't think he has a vindictive bone in his body. I have to say, like, there are people that are on the left that I do not think are genuinely bad people, like, whatsoever. Just because you have a difference of opinion than me doesn't mean I think you're, like, evil or horrible or, you should be punished and you shouldn't be listened to.
Thank you. Round them all up.
But there are people on the right that, first of all, my threshold for what is, like, should be considered tolerable is probably much higher than most people's. But I think even Brent, I think his threshold is probably pretty high, but I think it also kind of comes from more of a legal perspective. But I don't know. At the end of the day, I mean,
Bren, how sad do you think it is? How sad do you think it is that Amir's live streaming this room?
I mean, it's pretty consistent. He's always streaming our room. I don't get it, because he knows he can come in here, but, you know, it is what it is. He streams the room, Kitover streams the room. Apparently, it's more entertaining than I think it is.
But Bren, for the first time in months, I went in there like the day before yesterday or yesterday, I forget which day. But I was demodded by Shooky. Oh my god, Shooky? Oh wow, who would have ever imagined? I guess he's the voice of all Zionists, but...
Shut the fuck up, BP.
Shut the fuck up, BP.
Oh my god.
You guys still learning. You guys still learning those games. So, hey, you should, BP sits on the cactus. You know, that's what he likes to tell me. That's fine. That is Shookie's personality. He is who he is. But I got demodded twice. And then they said, like, look, the Zionists just use you up and they threw you away. What do you think about that? It's like, no, I'm actually fine. I can, like, go in the room. Like, what are you talking about? And then he was talking about Glow and Shookie is like, yeah, okay, whatever they picked me, it's fucking fine.
Yeah, no, you would, like, I kind of, of course, for different perspectives, I would get realistic sometimes, definitely avoid going up on stage as much as possible, and occasionally, but no, it's sort of when the insults about people that I would actually, like Glow, yeah, it's like people that I would meet in the room and be like, I love this person, what I like before, most things, the stuff is not cool, it's not accurate. And also there was one time the last time I was in that room, on stage, watching in the room at all, but also I happened to be on stage, and it was sort of a little interrogation was going on, and then I wasn't seeing the answer that we were looking for, and so I basically got to request out all names, and I'm just like, okay, I'm done with this.
Amir is just a sad little man.
Like, you won't even, like, necessarily listen to people being told why different motivation. And there's certain, like, interrogation questions that you didn't people want. And it's kind of like, I don't want to answer this because this is about motivation. Every time I got in there, the interrogation question. Fine. I'm not in there.
Meg, you want to know how to get rid of John Kitover and Amir? Play copyright music. Play Disney. Play Disney songs as loud as you can through the speakers, and then because of the copyright infringement, it'll clip their fucking their live.
Wait, seriously?
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, no, if you were to split the mouth, you don't mess with the mouth.
If you were to start playing "Let It Go" by Frozen, I mean, Manita didn't, whatever her name is. Fuck me, seriously. If you were to play that song right now, the entirety of it, it would clip his life.
Oh my god, did not know that.
You don't know, you haven't seen what Serendipity and them have a second bot account, and then they just play music softly in the background. It's because they don't want John Kitover live streaming. Yeah, if you go into Serendipity's room, you'll see it. You'll see a account with the open mic, and it's just playing like copyrighted music.
Okay, I've been in a room sometimes, and I don't know if I was aware of that. I'm aware sometimes if someone is a bot who's playing music.
Yeah, but that's because they're trying to keep people from live streaming the room. That's the sole reason for that.
Alright, well, is there any Disney song that anyone wants to
Let it go, let it go. Yeah, Disney is really, really hardcore with their copyrighted songs, so they'll just immediately fucking flip anything.
I'm just curious, Bren, what do you think about? Obviously, legally, I don't think Mamdani can do anything, but what is your opinion about the words of Mamdani and his? I mean, he looked rather presidential when he made this tape.
I mean, he looked like a president on a Saturday Night Live episode.
like, at the end of the day, I mean, maybe it's because I've taught at enough universities, it looked like anybody who has ever given a basic bachelor level presentation, right? Speechwriters wrote a speech, he's reading it, and he's comfortable, right? He's comfortable with basic oration. It's not Obama level, it's not impressive to me, right? It's pretty standard. He's a competent, decently educated human who can read a speech. I think it's hilarious because anybody with a little the United States Club work, you cannot have state law enforcement, not to mention municipal, interfering with international activity, on top of if he actually understood international law and he rolled his ass over to the Vienna Convention and a couple of other things that exist, he would find that you cannot seize a foreign leader or head of state when they are in a country that is hosting the United Nations for the purpose of the United Nations. It's in the fucking charter. So the ICJ has a warrant out for him if he's in the United States. If he's in the United States, even if the United States was a signatory, which it isn't a signatory of the Rome Statute, it isn't a signatory of recognizing ICC decisions as binding, so the United States doesn't have to, but even if it was, if his purpose for coming to the United States is to go to the United Nations, he cannot be seized under international law anyways. So as much as Mandami was cute when he ran and told people, I'm going to get Netanyahu, even if our federal government wanted to, they would be in violation because we are a host nation of a United Nations building, right? The United Nations has a number of buildings that do different things because the United Nations is a cobbling of several different organizations. And so when you're there for the General Assembly or the Security Council, which are housed here, then you cannot be interfered with by the host nation anyways. So the United States, even if we wanted to, would be violating international law as one of the Permanent Security Council members by trying to seize him anyways. It would be the same thing if Vladimir Putin came here. We can't seize Putin if he's here specifically to speak or appear before the UN. He's protected, as are every world leader that goes to the UN on an official invite or a mandate visit. So people don't even understand it wouldn't have been legal anyways. On top of, our federal government gets to make the decisions of enforcing international edicts. A local police department, the New York Police Department, City of New York, NYPD, their jurisdiction is the City of New York. And their jurisdiction is for warrants issued by the applicable jurisdiction. So they can pick him up on New York warrants. They can pick him up on warrants issued by the DA. They can hold him pending extradition to other states if there's a warrant for him out of other states. But an international foreign body like the ICC or the ICJ issuing a warrant, the NYPD has no authority, the New York State Troopers have no authority, no state law enforcement agency has the authority to enforce that anyways. Any first-year law student, and frankly, first-year student who's been to fucking government their freshman or sophomore year, understands you can't do that. You're local, you're municipal, your power is this tiny little bubble. It might be over a major city that hosts things like embassies, consulates, the UN, the New York Stock Exchange. It's a very important city, but you're still the executive officer of a little bubble because it's municipal. Might be very important municipal, but it's still municipal. So he never had the authority or the ability to do anything to Netanyahu anyways. Period. At all. He would have been in violation of a number of our own laws by trying to enforce a foreign, unenforceable agreement that we're not even a signatory to. We do not participate in where that order comes from.
So can he get prosecuted? I don't want to cut you off. Is there anything that he said tonight that could be like in violation of U.S. federal law?
No, he wasn't speaking on behalf of the U.S. He was speaking on behalf of himself and the feeling of his constituents. He wasn't issuing any sort of edict. He's simply trying to swallow the crow as much as possible and acknowledge something that he already knew. He ran claiming he was going to have Netanyahu arrested, knowing damn well he doesn't have the authority. He knew he didn't have the authority when he ran. He knew he didn't have authority once he won. He knew he didn't have authority today. The thing that, well, we had to look, and the attorneys looked at it, the city council looked at it. No, you did not need the legal counsel for the city of New York to look at it. Everybody already understood you don't have the authority, period. Even if the United States did recognize the warrants coming out of the ICC and the ICJ, which we don't. So even further, it's not going to happen, dude. It was a bullshit promise to people that are anti-Zionist and anti-Israel, and it worked for him and it worked for his constituency, but he didn't have the authority to do it. It's like every other electoral promise he made that requires Hochul as governor or the state assembly to make changes. 90% of his platform was making promises he himself can't deliver on. Now, as mayor, he can whine and complain and go in the media and try to put pressure on the state assembly and the governor. But most of his platform, most of his promises to voters who became constituents in order to get into that office were things he couldn't possibly do, including this. That's why Netanyahu was not afraid of him. That's why Trump laughed at it. When he said it the first time, the second time, the 50th time, I was waiting for this announcement from him to acknowledge I don't actually have the authority to do this thing I lied and said I was going to do, that everybody with half a brain and a little bit of education understands I can't do. Now, he can say whatever he wants, right? He can criticize a foreign leader. He's allowed to. He's not interfering with, the United States diplomatic relationship with Israel. He is a mayor. Again, he may be the most important mayor. He's not the president. He's not a cabinet member. He's not a senator. He's not even a fucking congressman. He's not a governor. He's a mayor. We have thousands of them. It is a low-tier position. He might be the most impressive mayor in terms of the city he runs, but he's a fucking mayor trying to speak on global concerns as if he's some sort of federal figure or American figure. You're a mayor. Go fix your city. Get rid of the rats the size of cats. Clean the homeless off your subways. Make them not smell like shit. Go do the things that a city does as the executive officer of a city. Because the reality is, even as the executive officer of New York City, he doesn't run the consulate. He doesn't run the New York Stock Exchange. He doesn't do any of those things. There's federal oversight over anything federal in that city. Which means if you took a map and you drew circles around all of the shit he has no authority over, it's a significant chunk of his city that he actually has no say in what happens. So, let him do his politicking. Let him go try to be a fantastic orator. Let him be the flag carrier for the socialists and communists in this country. That's fantastic. Let him be the normalized face of what I think is polite jihad. Let him be the normalized face of that. That's fine. But at the end of the day, he has no more power than any other fucking mayor in this country, which is not a lot of power.
Also, what I find amusing is he also is not native born. He's naturalized, so he is not immune to protection. I highly doubt anyone